Alrighty then. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Matthew Baker of Beautiful New York Tours. A cousin of mine who was born and grew up in New Jersey asked me to do a piece on her favorite building. And it's interesting because, of course, as a New Jerseyan, she has a different relationship with the city than I do, or than someone like me does, in that, I came to New York from far away. So just like her relationship with the city might be different from that of a native, it is also different from that of a settler. As a settler, my relationship with New York is, you might say, it's one of discovery, while hers is one of a long-time neighbor. So that I was really intrigued by, because the building she chose is perhaps a little bit more iconic than what I would traditionally want to do a video on, but that difference in perspective just got me thinking. And the building is the Flatiron. And I had not heard of or known anything about or seen pictures of the Flatiron when I first came to New York at the age of 18, lo, these many years ago. So the first time I stumbled across it, I imagine my reaction was pretty similar to that of the people who were there at the time of its unveiling in 1902. And of course, that first reaction tends to be, what on earth is that? Is it really as flat as it looks? Is the wind really going to blow it over? Because it really isn't until you get a nice even view between Fifth Avenue and Broadway that you realize it's a triangle. You might be able to figure that out intellectually, because there's no way a building could be built the way it looks like it's been built when you look at it from the side. But until you actually experience the triangular view, the Flatiron can really throw you for a loop. And, it's designed by the architect Daniel Burnham, the great Chicago-based architect, and it surprised people then when it was the Fuller Building back in 1902. The Flatiron was an unofficial nickname that eventually, came to become the real name, because it looks like a flat iron, professional tailor's tool that, irons the way we iron clothes. So they were looking at the shape. Now, the reason for the shape was not any, great avant-garde artistic vision of Burnham's. It was basically just to accommodate the real estate on which it was built. The angular nature of Broadway leads to a lot of triangular plots, and so the Flatiron was built to fill the amount of land that it could legally be built on. A lot of people know the Flatiron far better than I did before I came to New York, because they know it from the movies, and that includes classic movies like Bell, Book, and Candle with Jimmy Stewart and Kim Novak, up to more recent movies like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, where the Flatiron, of course, is the newspaper office for the Daily Bugle. But my favorite story about the movies and the Flatiron is one that has actually had some doubt cast on it. No one knows for sure, apparently, whether this is really correct. But it's a story I've always loved, which is that in the early 1920s, a young Englishman from Bristol named Archibald Leach came to New York and got a job as an elevator operator at the Flatiron. And later he moved to Hollywood, changed his name to Cary Grant, and the rest is history. But the other interesting thing about the Flatiron, of course, it goes back to its location, and that is, of course, 23rd Street. Now, a lot of New Yorkers have heard the phrase 23 Skidoo. And the story behind 23 Skidoo is that the buildings of the city do turn the streets somewhat into wind tunnels, and 23rd Street was known for being particularly windy. So at the time of the opening of the Flatiron in 1902, when women wore dresses and petticoats and bustles and such, the windy nature of the street would blow their skirts up and expose their ankles. Now, we're talking half a century before Marilyn Monroe, put that particular image in vogue. But men with nefarious motives would hang out at the corner of 23rd and 5th, right where the Flatiron is, hoping to catch a glimpse of the women's ankles. So you'd see the Irish constables walking up and down 23rd Street and telling these men, skidoo, 23 skidoo, be gone with your shenanigans. And that was their way of getting rid of these peeping Toms. So if you like these stories, and if you like buildings like the Flatiron and would like to see more once we are free to tour in person, please check me out at Beautiful New York Tours. You can search Beautiful New York Tours on Facebook, or you can email me at baker.tours@yahoo.com. Again, that is baker.tours@yahoo. Thank you very much.